I did the shift, and I sort of made the decision when I was there, and I came home and I said, I am going to quit my job. And she was like, awesome. Hello, everyone. Well, this is exciting. I need headphones. I need to hear my own voice. I also caught a glimpse of my hair, so I had to put on a hat. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining this very special Noobs video. What's going on? Well, we just hit 20,000 subscribers here on Noobs, which in the grand scheme of like YouTube content creation isn't a crazy big number. But also, you know, there is a very small percentage of people who even reach 10,000. So, you know, we might not have 100,000, 500,000, million subscribers. I'm really proud of 20,000. And I think we should all be proud of 20,000 because we're building a community. We're building a group. We're sharing content, laughs together. I think it's awesome. I think it's worth celebrating. I feel like I need a light on my face. Am I too dark? I feel like I'm too dark. So I posted in the community tab on the Noobs channel, as well as on my personal channel, The Real Gmat, and also in the Gmat Discord. And was able to gather some questions for a special Q&A video, because I don't always get a chance to talk to you guys and answer the questions that you want answered, and tell you about, you know, either content or my life or anything like that. Just excuse me if I'm not particularly articulate. It's 2:30 in the morning, which isn't unusual for me. I edit late, I stream early, and that's how I've been, you know, doing what I do and fitting in all the content that I make. And it's just how I function. My brain functions the best in the evening, at night. But then I will hit a point like now where I'm just like, it's time for bed. But I wanted to film this video because I'm really excited that we hit 20,000. And I wanted to take these questions that you guys have given me and answer them straight away. So I've got a bunch here in front of me. I've only grabbed them. I haven't really had a lot of time to think about them. So I'm just going to sort of read them in no particular order and answer them. I have taken some that are similar and put them together. I've collated it in that way. Thank you so much for 20,000 subs. Thank you so much for asking questions. Let's do it. Kai Stenzel asks, how are you? I'm good. I'm good. I'm really good. I'm a little hungry. I'm doing intermittent fasting at the moment, which is where you can only eat for like a 7-hour period each day. It sort of stops you from snacking, you know, late into the evening. And it also, there's some other metabolical things dietitians say is worth it, but I'm mainly doing it so I stop snacking. So I'm hungry. Is that the answer you wanted? I'm doing well, buddy. How are you? Are you well? General Kraken asks, I would love to know a little bit about you. That's a hard question to answer because it's so broad. My name's Matt, Matthew with 1 T. I'm 27 years old. I have a bachelor with honors in performing arts, which really came in handy. I grew up in a small town called Shepparton. I actually grew up in a smaller town next to Shepparton called Mooroopna. I actually grew up in a smaller town next to Mooroopna called Old Toolamba, which had a population of like 40. Closest town to Old Toolamba was Toolamba, which had a general store and a fire station. That's it. It's sometimes easy just to tell people I grew up in Shepparton, but that's the sort of the region. That's the region I grew up in. And I love musical theatre. That's some stuff that I've got going on. I spent the majority of my life trying to be an actor. I was a working actor for a good portion of time. I paid my bills for a little period there, doing voice acting work and performing arts, musical touring, that sort of stuff. I finished my last professional acting job 6 months before I went full-time as a content creator. And started doing that to pay the bills. It was a tour of Aladdin, which I played the Sultan, and the Cave of Wonders. I was the voice of the Cave of Wonders. Obviously, the Cave of Wonders is a big tiger head, but I went. A diamond in the rough. I've been working full time as a content creator since 2018, 19. Jesus, time goes by. It's been weird the last few years. It's hard to keep track of time. I think 2019 was when I quit my part-time job that I had during that 6-month period and did this full time. I left that job, came to this job. I live with just me and my girlfriend and a buddy of ours who lives in a granny flat or a little unit on the property in our backyard. I think that's it. What else do you need to know about me? I like pizza. But I'm sure you could have guessed that. Sam B asks, favorite TV show and favorite film? Whoo! Favorite TV show? Straight off the bat. A show that I've watched over and over and over and over and over again since I was a kid. Whenever I'm eating or I'm having a bad day or something like that. The Simpsons. Can't go wrong with The Simpsons. That first 12 seasons, primo. I also love, long series. I've been a big fan of The Walking Dead. I know The Walking Dead has its moments, but I was a big fan of that. Breaking Bad. Big fan of Modern Family. I used to watch Modern Family. Modern Family was like my sad show. I used to watch it when I was sad. Because it cheered me up. Things I check out regularly: Rick and Morty, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Actually, classic comedies. I like comedies. I do love series, but I think other people who are into video games would agree. When you love video games, that takes up such a portion of your time that you don't have time to eat into like television series. Like you don't want to start a series because there's already so many games in your cupboard to play. So when I watch things, I want to watch like 30-minute snippets, something to have a laugh at, and then I can go on. So it's really difficult for people to get me into series. Serieses. Do you say series or serieses? It's probably series. It's difficult for people to get me into TV shows. But when but there's a lot of things that I have watched. I just can't think of any. Favorite films. I always loved American Beauty. Obviously that's a bit harder to watch now. But it's a great film. I don't go crazy over musical film adaptations. I do love a musical, but I love a stage musical. That's the sort of thing I like to watch. I like theater. But I do love West Side Story from like the 50s or the 60s, whenever that was filmed. You can watch that any day of the week. Tarantino, big fan of Tarantino. Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs. But I think, I gotta be honest, I think Django Unchained might be one of my favorite films of all time. I don't know what it is about that film. I never get bored of it. I also love Misery and Ace Ventura. I love Ace Ventura. Anything Jim Carrey's in. The Truman Show. Oh, such a great movie. Sam B also asked, what is the collab between you and Gameology? How did it come around? Well, you're watching it. Send Noobs is my collaborative channel with Gameology. I'm sure you guys know Gameology. 1.5 million subs on YouTube. They're killers in the game. They have a very successful Facebook page, Gameology, the best of gaming. If you scroll through Facebook, I'm sure you've seen it. Gameology have a great rule, a very strong rule that they don't stray from or get away from at all. They don't use other people's content without permission. And in terms of like Facebook pages, sharing content, the era that we're living in, you don't see that very often. People will almost always, big pages will almost always steal content posted to their page, use it that way. But Gameology, for whatever reason, decided that that was the way that they would do it. They would never use people's content without both asking the person if they can use it and then crediting them and sending people to their channel or their brand or whatever it is that they're doing. So I started YouTube under The Real Gmat on YouTube. Go check out The Real Gmat. We're almost at 30K subs, which is awesome. And I was posting content. I made a video called Guts and Glory on my channel, which is only at about 100,000 views on my channel. But on Facebook, I was just bombarded with requests. You know, big pages like Gameology and Lad Bible, big pages were messaging me asking to use this video. And obviously I wanted the exposure, so I said yes. So that video blew up. That video is easily 100 million plus views across Facebook by this point. And it got me about 10,000 subscribers, which is crazy when you think about just how many people have seen that. People in my life have recognized my voice from that video. One of my closest friends in the world lives with a guy who was watching the video on his phone, and he was like, what are you watching? He was like, this thing. He's like, that's my best friend. Like, it was my voice. I went through a Macca's drive-thru where someone said, did you do a video about a kid getting his head chopped off on a bicycle or something? And I was like, yeah, I did. So a double quarter pounder, please, a large meal. It's wild. But one of the people that messaged me was a guy called Sebastian from Gameology, and asked to use the content. I said, that's for sure, for sure, please. I realized how important Facebook was, especially at the time when Facebook, a very, very popular site. There's other social media sites as well now. So Facebook wasn't exactly the focus, isn't the focus now. It was the focus back then. So I realized how important that was. So I would, so when I had a video that was really good, that I thought was good on my channel, I started replying back to all those people who sent requests for me to use my content to say, hey, if you like this, consider posting this on your page and crediting me and blah, 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 blah. A few of them talked to me and got back to me, but Sebastian from Gameology was the one person who like conversed with me, chatted with me. It was like, oh man, I love the content. I love what you're doing. Have you considered trying this? Have you know, and we had like a back and forth, a chat. So we sort of just started like a content creator to a page sort of relationship. And then one day I messaged him and I said, hey, look, man, I don't know how you guys do things. I think I've shown you guys that I'm a good editor. I can edit stuff. If you're ever looking for editors, because you guys post so much content, if you ever need editors, please hit me up. I would love to do some freelance work. I'm working part-time at the moment and could use the extra cash. And I think, and I might be quoting him wrong, and I should be careful because he's my boss now, but I believe he said something like, look, we're not looking for editors right now, but I'll keep you in mind. And then not like a week later, he messaged me and said something like, hey, are you free for a meeting? And I was like, oh, yeah. And he said, well, we worked out a date and I met with him. And I spoke to him for the first time over Zoom. He's French. The entire Gameology team, the main team, is based in France. And we chatted for ages. And essentially, he pitched me this thing. He said, look, we love your content. We would never want to take away from the Gmat brand or what Gmat is, but would you consider creating content as Gmat for Gameology in a collaborative way? So we would set up a new YouTube channel. At the time, we didn't have a name for it. Obviously, it is Send Noobs. We'll pay you to make videos for us, and then we post those videos to Facebook and to everywhere else, and, you know, everybody gets something out of it. I get to say, hey, I'm Gmat. Go check out my personal channel. I get paid to make the content that I make, and then they have content to post for revenue on Facebook and Instagram and all that sort of stuff. So it's a way for us all to win and to have a constant feed of content that I believed and they believed was good. We started out with a contract that was like 5 videos. Let's do a month, see how it goes. It's turned into 3 years, and it's been the best thing I've ever done. I love making content with Gameology. I went from there. I now edit for Gameology, edit their other content. You might have seen this stuff. Experts React, Gamers React is my show. I edit that, produce that in a way. Source content. You know, I'm at the editors meeting every Monday. I work for Gameology, essentially. I think about it in a weird way that if Sebastian hadn't reached out to me and said, hey man, can we post your Guts and Glory video to Gameology? I could still be working that part-time job that I hated, and wouldn't have had this experience in editing, because I have learned a lot about editing from working for Gameology. That's only helped me to make my own videos better. So the Gmat style of video is for all the channels. For Send Noobs, I post 2. For the Real Gmat, I post 1 a week. On the Real Gmat, I also post Twitch highlights and other extra content. But that Gmat style of video that I do, there's essentially 3 of those videos going out a week. I'm going to use this video as an opportunity to plug the Real Gmat. If you like the Send Noobs content, the content I post on the Real Gmat on my personal channel, it's the same stuff. It's exactly the same, except there's just one tightly edited video a week, and then a bunch of extra content, stream content, stuff like that. We're almost at 30,000 subs there, 20,000 subs here on Send Noobs. What I realized is these 2 communities aren't actually the same. I thought Send Noobs was just Gmat people, but what I've noticed from the comments is that they're 2 totally different realms, 2 totally different communities. And I think if we merged, what a beautiful thing that would be. Crazy to think that there's 50,000 subscribers watching my stuff. It's unbelievable. I think that's it. Have I answered that, Sam? That's my collab with Gameology. And it's going well. Big Les, Captain T Cozy, and Son Justin all asked a question like this, but I'm gonna use Son Justin's wording. Bit of a cliche question, but do you have a favorite video on either channel or a favorite game from the ones you've played for the channels? Also, how do you decide which channel you'll play a game for? Which is a really interesting question. Let's just go favorite videos for either channel. I know what they are straight away. My favorite video that I always joke that my favorite video I did on the Real Gmat was one from like 3 or 4 years ago for Chivalry, when Chivalry was popular. But it's not actually my favorite video. Favorite video I've made would have to be the Hercules PS1 video I did for the Real Gmat. That was a lot of fun because I did a whole song. It opened up a whole new type of video that I didn't realize I had the potential to do, which was like long form sketches or songs or anything like that, which then leads into a gaming video. I did it for that. I did it for It Takes Two. I did it for the Power Wash video on the Gmat channel. It's fun. It's fun. I remember first testing out that idea on a collab with Hummies VR on Send Noobs. When I have time to do videos like that, I love doing them. So I'd say Hercules is my favorite for the real Gmat. For Send Noobs, my favorite video is probably Granny Simulator, which was the first video I ever did with them. I did it with Aiden. It was a chance for us to make a video knowing we were going to get paid for it. It was, you can tell from the buzz in that video how excited we were and how keen we were for this thing and how, you know, green and fresh we were. I have really good memories of that video, making that video, and publishing that video and doing, you know, that was our first collaboration. And I think that is actually, that's not on Send Noobs, that's on Gameology. All right, this Q&A is not going well because I'm already going to merge two questions here. Something I forgot to mention is that Send Noobs didn't start as Send Noobs. It was a collaboration just with Gameology, and a lot of my first, it's crazy that I've forgotten about this. A lot of the first videos that we posted were posted to the Gameology main page, and then we decided to make Send Noobs as a separate channel and grow that. So that Granny Simulator video will be on the Gameology main page, not on Send Noobs. There's also another very important thing I forgot to mention, Aiden. How did Aiden come into this? It's weird, I can't quite pinpoint at what point Aiden became a mainstay, a part of Send Noobs. Me and Aiden have been best mates for a long time. I remember, you know, when I first made this deal with Gameology and we were having meetings and stuff, I said to them, look, I've got this guy, we make good stuff together. Aiden had done videos with me on the Gmat channel. And I said, would you know, be interested in, like, can I bring him in and can we pay him, you know? So you know, I was paid to edit and appear in the videos, and then he was paid to appear in the videos. And a lot of that content was really solid. And we pointed that out in meetings later on. And then one day I said, what if Aiden became a main part of the channel? I said to my bosses, I said, what about this? Once a week, a solo, regular Gmat Send News video, and then once a week, a cooperative Send News video that has Aiden in it. And then we guarantee Aiden's in a video a week. He can become more a part of the channel, and we can work together. And so Send Noobs went from being my little baby with Gameology to mine and Aiden's little baby with Gameology. I mean, at the end of the day, Aiden's talent. He's good at what he does, and I can't imagine Send Noobs without him. So he's a real, like, kick back the legs. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do, boss? Yep, easy peasy. Make some gags, do some jokes. Let's do it. So he's not involved so much with the organization side and the collaborative stuff with Gameology. But he's always there when I'm like, hey, we're doing a video on this. He's like, done, easy. And the final part to that question was, how do you decide which channel you'll play a game for? I don't really. At the core of it, I sometimes, you know, when in terms of, like, making money and revenue, I have to think more about that with Send Noobs than I do with Gmat. Gmat's very much, I do what I want. But with Send Noobs, I've got to think about what, because there's the business side of things too. I have to think about what will perform well on Facebook when they're whittled down and edited into a shorter Facebook video. Look, there's so many games, too many to choose from. It's never really a problem. It's never a hard decision. I'll do it on one or the other. The Goddamn Batman asked, what is your favorite part of making YouTube videos? What was/is the most challenging aspect of YouTube as a whole? My favorite part about making YouTube videos is, what is my favorite part about making YouTube videos? I get a lot of messages on my Instagram and on Discord and just emails and stuff like that, where people say, hey, look, I was going through a really crap time this week, or I was, you know, I'm having dark thoughts even. Like, it can get quite intense. And upsetting, and then people say things like, and you know what, I was watching your videos and it just made things easier. They'll say things like, you know, it's been really hard in COVID. I've been stuck at home working from home, but putting on one of your videos always gives me a smile. I guess that's my favorite bit. I really like thinking that my content makes people happy and makes people, you know, can make someone's bad day a good day. That's crazy to think that I have the power to do that. So I guess that's my favorite bit, that people are watching and people are enjoying. Sure, I love playing video games and making fart jokes and you know, having a good time at work, but it's about the way the audience receives it and the way the audience gets affected by it. That's my favorite bit. The most challenging part of YouTube as a whole is just that YouTube is no longer designed to support small creators. I think we've noticed in the last few years, it's slowly getting better. But YouTube started at its core as a way for independent creators to blossom. And that's becoming more and more difficult. It's hard to fight the algorithm, which isn't just an independent creator thing. That's a thing for everybody. Big businesses, big, CBS and SBS and all kinds of big pages on YouTube also have a hard time fighting the algorithm. But the algorithm decides whether or not you live or die on this channel, on this website, and that can be quite daunting and difficult to manage. I guess that's the challenging part. Whether or not the algorithm is going to be your friend that day, that week, that month, or whether or not it's going to just absolutely destroy you. Scary demon that's above us all us content creators that we're always watching out for. We're not sure how exactly it works or what it can do to us, but we know it's there, and there's no answer to it. It's just something that we've got to deal with. That's probably the most difficult part. Dustin Bradshaw says, how many subs for a boxing match between you and Josh Dub? 20,000. I'll do it now. I'm kidding, of course. I love Josh Dub. When my content gets put on Facebook or on, stolen on other people's YouTube channels, people will go, who's this? And they go, it's Josh Dub. I'm not Josh Dub. I'm going to try and combine these 3 questions into sort of one answer. It's questions by Game Novice GN, Christopher Considine, and Joe the Bro 92. What are your goals on this channel, and what advice would you give to a person who wants to start their channel? What is some advice you would give to someone who started streaming? Also, would you recommend Twitch or YouTube? And Joe the Bro said, what would you say your goals are as a content creator? All right, let me break this down. For streamers, would I recommend Twitch or YouTube? I recommend Twitch. I love YouTube for videos and stuff. For streaming, Twitch is where it's at. You don't have to fight algorithms so much on Twitch. Twitch is still in its baby form. It's still early days. There's still time for people for small creators to float to the top without getting pushed down by the algorithm. What are my goals for this channel? For both my channels, I want what everyone wants, 1 million subscribers. I want to be able to not only, get by, but, save some money, go on a holiday, buy my parents a house, do all that sort of stuff. I want to be able to do that sort of stuff. Right now, I'm very lucky to be in the position that I am, to be making the money that I do, doing what I do. But just like everybody else, sometimes I get to the end of the month and I get a bit stressed out about the bills. How am I going to pay my rent this month? Things like that. I don't scrape by, but I get by. And I would love to one day be making enough profit and making enough money from what I do to be able to invest even more time into just the videos, into just the streams, into just the podcast. I do have to do freelance editing for people and for Gameology as well, editing for their main page shows. If I could put all my time into Gmat content for Send Noobs and The Real Gmat, what a dream that would be. Finally, what advice would you give to a person that wants to start their channel? Don't go into making content thinking it's going to become a career. I never did that. When I started making content 5 or 6 years ago, I was making videos for a gag, for my friends. I like editing, I love editing, and I love playing video games. And it was just something for me to do. It was a hobby, and that's all it was ever going to be, was a place for me to put my creativity. I never thought it would become a job. So you just cannot go into this world, into this business, thinking it's going to be a business. You need to love every single aspect of it, because otherwise you'll burn out. It happens to literally 95% of people who make videos, who start making videos or start a YouTube channel. They go, oh man, I got to edit a video. That's not how I was. I was like, yes, I get to edit a video because I love editing. I love the content. I love doing it. I looked forward to getting home from my job so that I could edit a video. People don't do hobbies that they don't love. People don't do woodworking and collect stamps and do hobbies. If they don't love it, then why would they do it? So you need to love everything about it. Posting, making, writing catchy YouTube names, filming, editing, playing. You need to love it all or it's not going to work. The second bit of advice for starting a channel, I would say, is don't play to people. Don't make what you think people want to see. Make what you think is funny, what you think is good, what you think is interesting. Only make content for yourself. Because if you're making content to please other people, it's not going to be genuine. It's not going to be, it's not going to be good. It's going to be crap. I make the content that I want to make in the style that I want to make. And and behave the way that I want to behave. And I hope that people find something from that they enjoy. That's my advice. Take it or leave it. I'd say leave it. Aqua Party asks, when did you first become interested in making videos? Cool question. When I was a kid, I used to make I used to go on Microsoft PowerPoint and make slides, and do like little animations. Like I'd draw something here, and then the next slide I'd move it, you know, and then go preview presentation and keep pressing spacebar to make these little cartoons. Love that. I used to film stuff at home with this old video camera that had to go over your shoulder. When I got to school, in high school, the second I could do a media class, I was doing media. I was making short films. You know, I loved editing. I was editing film stuff long before I even learnt about screen capturing and recording video games. I do have this memory of filming my TV while I was playing Battletoads on the NES, filming me playing that, taking that away, and then recording commentary into this little mic that was like, and putting that together and making that into something. But I did media and edited films. Then I went to uni for performing arts and got sort of caught up and swept up in that. Didn't edit for like 5 years or so. Fast forward to a time, I weighed 140 kilograms. I was dating a girl that I didn't want to date anymore. I was working a job that I hated. I was working at the reject shop. I was not happy. I was really, really unhappy. But I'd started making these little videos on YouTube, these little gaming videos. One of them popped off, the Guts and Glory one, and it really just changed my perspective. I was miserable. I was not a happy person. At this point in my life, that smiley, goofy guy had gotten real low, and I was not doing well. And when I saw that people were enjoying my stuff, I started to ramp up again. I started to feel this, like I had like a calling or something, you know. I didn't have any direction at that point in my life. But then when this started happening, I had this calling, I had this thing that I wanted to do. I had people who I wanted to please and who wanted to see my stuff. And then I really kicked into gear. I started making more stuff as much as I could, sending it out to different pages, you know. Then obviously my stuff with Gameology started. You know, I lost 40 kilos. I gained another 15 over lockdown, but I'm not 140. But I'm happy now, you know. I'm doing what I want to do. I don't live in that dank apartment, and I don't live the way I used to live. I live in a happier place. Was that even an answer? When did I first become interested in making videos? When I was a kid. S Crime asks, the very first time playing game? Question mark. Very first time playing game. It's funny because this could be used for a commercial about how video games rot your brain. But my first time playing a game was filmed on that same big over the shoulder video camera. There's a tape at my parents' home, buried deep within all these other tapes, where I'm sitting there playing Super Mario Brothers on the NES, and my brother comes and takes the controller out of my hand, takes the little square NES controller out of my hand, and then I have a little sook and a cry, and then he sits down in where I was sitting in one of those little plastic kids chairs. I don't know if anyone remembers having those in their house. And I'm about 4 and he's about 7 or 8, and he takes it and he starts playing, and then I walk up behind him and just pull him backwards, and he falls, the chair totally tips backwards, and he slams the NES controller into his mouth and knocks his tooth out. There is a video of this somewhere in my house, and that was my first time playing a video game. I was so consumed by Super Mario Brothers that the second someone took it away from me, I broke their teeth. Think about that. That's how much I love video games. Sector 2 says, what's the angriest you've ever gotten in a video game? Jeez. I know recorded, the angriest I've probably gotten is by that, what's the name of that game? Getting Over It. Bennett Foddy, whatever it's called. Jesus, I got mad at that game. I don't understand! One I can recently remember is playing Miscreated. And Miscreated was such a great game for a long time. And now when I play it, it frustrates me so much. I remember doing this thing where you would press like left click to pull up the map, and then you could look at it for a little bit, but after like 5 seconds, the map would go straight back down, and it would drive me crazy. And you'd do this thing where I'd pull up the map, and I didn't think the map was put up, and I'd press left click again, and my guy would punch. And all I'm trying to do is look at the map, and I kept punching, and I remember getting so mad at that. Like, unbelievably mad. When I get mad in a video, it's never fake. I can't fake mad. Sometimes I can fake a laugh, you know. Don't think I've ever faked a scare. I jump really easy, and when there's a slight jump, I really get audible. But when I get mad, you know it's real. Yeah, that's probably the angriest I've got. I'm just gonna Stop putting the map away! How many times can I press M? Two things that aren't filmed was playing The Last of Us in grounded difficulty. The first Last of Us, I played in grounded difficulty. I remember the first time I played that, getting real mad at some sections. And also the Crash Bandicoot remake. I played through all three of those remade games. There were parts of me that took me back to my childhood. I remember there being bite marks in my controllers when I was a kid because I just got so mad. I had no way to put that frustration, so I just bit the controller. That's crazy when you think about it. But when I played these remakes, I genuinely like regressed, and I remember like dying at a level 100 times and being like, and like catching myself and going, oh my God. Put the game down. I'm like, I can't do this. This is crazy. Johnny says, what are your thoughts on the transformation Australia is going through right now? Do you think it will affect your ability to upload content? That's a deep question. And I don't exactly know what transformations you're talking about. There's a lot of things happening right now in Australia and in the world. It's a really upsetting time to be a conscious human being who is wired into what's, you know, what's happening, reading stuff, watching stuff. It's a scary time to be, you know, a human being. There's a lot of stuff happening in our government, a lot of craziness happening in our streets. It's a weird time in Australia. I'm not going to get political or put what my thoughts are and what my beliefs are, or what, you know, who I support and blah 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 blah. I think you guys gather what kind of person I am and what kind of way I would lean, or where I would, you know. I made a video like 2 or 3 years ago where in the video I made a joke about Donald Trump, regrettably, because it had some consequences. And it wasn't even a big joke. It wasn't a political joke or a personal attack or anything. It was just a silly nothing joke that could be made about anybody. It had no weight to it, and it was very in passing. It was, yeah. And I got a lot of death threats. Friends of mine got death threats who weren't even in the video or affiliated with the video in any way. Nothing like that's happening right now. Obviously, I can't really make jokes about our situation that are you know, substantial. So no one's really having a go at me, and I don't push that side of myself onto people. But just like the thing where I got death threats, it's sometimes hard to you know, always be in a good mood. And I find it really difficult to make content when I'm not in a good mood. What I've learned about myself is, sure, sometimes I can go, all right, it's time to make jokes, it's time to make gags, turn it on, let's do it. But yeah, it can be hard. It can be really hard. And I guess I won't really give my thoughts on what's going on in Australia right now, but do you think it will affect my ability to upload content? It already has. There's been times I've gone to make stuff and I'm I can't even find the word for it. I guess just upset. I'm finding it more and more difficult to just go, everything will be fine. I have to do something else, you know. Recording content is you know, 50% of my job, so there's always other stuff to do. Yeah, that's affected uploading content for sure. That's a deep question, Johnny. I appreciate you asking it. I wish I could give you a more substantial answer. My thoughts are, and always have been, the world's going through a bad time right now. But we've seen across history that we're resilient people. And at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, we all come together and we push towards what should be the right direction to head. And I believe it may take a few years. It may take 10 years. It may take a long time. But I believe at the end of this really awful road is a pot of gold. It's a good something. Because we can't continue like this. The road can't get worse and worse and worse. I'm sure there's still a lot more worse to come, but there's some better up there ahead. All right, let's get back to funny answers. SJ asks, your favorite video game of all time? My favorite video game, it's hard to break down. Let's talk about the classics. Classic video game would be Wizards and Warriors 3 on the NES. It's my favorite video game when I was a kid. Could not stop playing it. Let's talk about the PS1 era. Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hill, my favorite games in that era. Favorite game of the PS2? Probably Final Fantasy X. You know, I love all the Final Fantasy. I'm a big Final Fantasy nerd. I've always loved Final Fantasy. I should have said Final Fantasy VI as one of the greatest games on the PS1. But I won't, because I've already said Silent Hill and Metal Gear Solid. In the sort of modern era, let's say PS3 onwards, or Xbox 360 onwards. Sorry to Xbox fans. I never had an Xbox, so I never reference it, but it's a great console. I always say The Last of Us. I think The Last of Us is just outstanding. I'm one of those people who loved The Last of Us 2. It made me incredibly sad, but I did enjoy it. Please don't hate me for liking it, and I won't hate you for not liking it. That's my favorite game of all time. But I always say this when people ask me this on my streams, twitch.tv/Gmat. People will say that, and then I say the same answer, which is, The Last of Us is my favorite game of all time. Then I use my objective brain, and I think about a game that, even though it's not my favorite, I think it is the best game ever made. In terms of gameplay, story, graphics. I know graphics aren't important, but when a game is great and also has great graphics, awesome. I think Uncharted 4 is just so good. Every time I play that game, I'm always just wowed by the different parts of it, the different sections, the replayability. It's a great game. There's other smarter answers that I could give. You know, if when I thought about it hard enough, I could think of a million games that I'm like, geez, that's a good game. But I like to go with my gut, and I think Uncharted 4 is just a phenomenal game. Can't read that name. Luke Dobbo on the Discord asked, is there a game mechanic that if you added it to a different game, it would make for a Game of the Year contender? Oh, Luke Dobbo, I really wish I could give you a proper answer. Well, I'm not thinking about my answers, I'm just answering. There's one I've got in my brain, which I used to think about a lot, but let's go back to The Last of Us. The Last of Us is already a Game of the Year winner, I think. I'm sure they won a Game of the Year. But I remember thinking, geez, this game would be crazy if it was open world. It would certainly take some parts away from the game, but I think that world, that Last of Us post-apocalyptic zombie apocalypse world, would be really interesting as an open world. Would be a totally different game, and it'd probably be a worse game, but that comes to my brain every now and again. I know this isn't quite the question either, but I always thought a Harry Potter MMO would be a really good idea. Obviously, there's a new Harry Potter game. I don't know if it's an MMO. I haven't looked into it that much, but there's that new Harry Potter one that everyone's getting really excited about. And also, I thought, I know they already did it, but a better Matrix MMO would be crazy. I've been playing a lot of World of Warcraft, so I was thinking about games that could be made into an MMORPG that were well done. Lord of the Rings made a really good online MMO that nobody knows about, called the Lord of the Rings Online. It's on Steam and it's free. Go play it. And Final Fantasy had a really good MMO. Final Fantasy 14 released bad, got great. That was barely an answer to the question, but I'm barely a content creator. Matthew K asks, have you ever thought about making your own game? Damn, I'm gonna give such bad answers for these last questions. Have I ever thought about making a game? No, I guess not. I hope that's not a bad answer, Matthew K. I probably shouldn't even have just talked about the question. It would have been easier just to ignore you. No, wait, that's a lie. I remember as a kid, again, with the PowerPoint, getting on Microsoft PowerPoint, I used to make slides, and then it would be like, I'd have like options. Which person are you going to shoot? Guy on left or guy on right? And then I remember you could like hyperlink or do something where if you clicked the mouse to hit this person, I could make it jump to a different slide. So I made these like choose your own adventure kind of games. With Microsoft PowerPoint. So I guess I have thought about making my own game. It's Jessica Woot asks, do you have any special ways to hype yourself up for a big stream? I guess I kind of do. Because what I do is I don't know if you've ever seen my stream. I don't just go live and go like, okay, are we live? We're live. Hello everybody. Like I don't do that. I have a stream starts soon collection of clips, which just plays just a collection of the funniest things that happened on the stream. I try to update it every 6 months. But that sort of plays for 5 minutes or so while people start joining. And so I'll get that going. I'll walk off and make a coffee to come back to do the stream. And I will see the stream chat with all these different colors, all these different names just filling up. And that is the thing that gets me going, all right, let's do this. Like when I see people there, that's the way I hype myself up for the stream. Is walking away and coming back in to the people. I don't really plan stuff. My streams always start in weird ways, but I kind of just go, in the moment, I go, what am I going to do? And do stuff that way. So I guess that's the way I hype myself up. Amber_OXX asks, I'd like to hear more. I'd like to hear about this Twitch channel. You know, www.twitch.tv/TheBillGmat. Can we talk about that for a moment? Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Amber. There's nothing to say there, you guys. I pump it up in every single video I do. But I will say one thing. If you do like Send Noobs, you do like my stuff, there's a lot of ways that you can consume my content, and my content is the same across all sort of channels. My general rule, my way of approaching streams is I've always wanted my streams to be constantly engaging. I had the goal of making my streams feel like a Gmat video. I want to be constantly engaging. I want to be constantly present, and I don't want to just be sitting there playing silently and then occasionally saying things. I always try to make my streams great from start to finish. So if you like that, head over to Twitch and go to my personal channel, The Real Gmat on YouTube. We're almost at 30k subs. It'd be crazy if I hit 20k subs on Send Noobs and 30k subs on The Real Gmat in the same little period. That'd be awesome. And finally, the Gmat Podcast. It's the other thing I do. I do a lot of stuff. The Gmat Podcast, again, is its own little supporting thing. We have sponsors. We have an episode every week. We've done 160 something episodes. It's just another thing that I love doing. I think that's it. No, one more question. All right, this is the last. Is this the last one? Yeah, this is the last question from Walt. Did you ever have anything else in mind to pursue as a career before deciding on becoming a full-time streamer? Yes. Obviously I wanted to be an actor, for a long time. And when I realized that, that was becoming very difficult to pay my bills, you're always looking for the next job. There's no job security there. That's what made me stop pursuing acting jobs and get the part-time job at the reject shop, is because even though I hated it, I knew I was going to have money coming in every single week. Doing that, I thought would fix my brain and make me feel less stressed and happier and everything. Turns out I probably should have kept pursuing acting, because when I started working at the reject shop, I just got depressed, just hated it. But during that period, I had this dream that I would become a broadcaster, that I would work in radio. And I would say right up until I realized YouTube was an option, when money started coming in and I went, oh, I can do this full time. I was looking into like communications and becoming, working in radio as a technician or an editor or a presenter, or I was just convincing myself that this was something I should look into. And that filled me with a bit of joy, having, again, like I said, I had no direction or whatever. So there was that, it was such a minuscule point in that patch where things were really, really crap. And when YouTube became an option, there was this tiny little patch of time in between there where I went, oh, I'm going to have a radio show one day. That was just one of those things. And with the podcast and everything, I still think I'd be great on radio. I'd love to do radio one day. I could do radio in the morning and then YouTube in the other. That's what I'd do. I would say that was the one thing that I really thought I might be built for. I'm a good actor. I'm good at that. But in terms of becoming a full-time actor and making a career out of it, I was just thinking realistically. I was like, it's just, you can be the best at that and still never even get a job. And there's other fields where you can be the best radio presenter and you have far more of a shot of getting seen or turning that into something, because the people trying to do it, the pool of people trying to do it, is a lot smaller. So I thought about that as a serious option that I was going to pursue, and then one day I realized YouTube was a thing. I'll tell you guys about that day to finish off this video. I was working in the reject shop and things weren't going well. There was a crossover period there where I was working with Gameology. We were just about to sign a 6-month contract after the successful first month to here's a guaranteed 6 months, you will make this many videos a week and you will be guaranteed to get paid this much. I survive a lot on community support as well, Patreon for our podcast and donations and subs on Twitch. But that's never guaranteed, I can't be sure that I'm going to get a certain amount of donations every month. So I couldn't viably quit my job at the reject shop because, 1 month I did pretty well, because the next month, sure, Gameology is guaranteed, but all this other stuff that was 50% of my wage wasn't guaranteed. I remember coming home to my girlfriend, Beck, and I was just telling her about how miserable I was at the reject shop and how I would love to do this thing. I would love to be able to just do YouTube, but it wasn't viable at this point. And there was no point in that conversation where she ever agreed with me or said, no, you're right, it is a good idea for you to keep your job at the reject shop. She could just see that I had the cogs were turning and I was coming to a conclusion, and she was just listening and not even guiding me to the right answer, but was just going to be there no matter what happened. And I watched a video came up on my YouTube, which was a video with it's the guy who plays Tyrion in Game of Thrones. I've gone totally blank, but I'll put his name up here. he was doing an interview and he said something like, you know, things were real bad. I'm going to paraphrase because I can't remember it, but it was to the effect of like, you know, I was doing acting jobs and I was just scraping by and I was barely paying rent. And I was trying to like, you know, work part-time and or something like that. And he said to himself, this acting thing may not work, but it's only gonna work if I put myself into it 100%. So he said, I'm gonna give it one last try, one last red hot go, but I'm gonna apply myself with everything that I've got. So with like $100 in his bank account, he quits whatever part-time job he's doing. He pays, you know, that month of rent, and he says, I'm now a full-time actor and I'm going for it, which is a risky move to quit your job and go, this is it, I'm doing it. With no prospects, by the way, because when you're an actor, you don't have prospects. You audition for the jobs, you get the jobs, the job's over. You have some money to support yourself while you find the next job. So real risky. But he did that, and when he applied himself 100%, he was successful. And he got a job, and then he applied himself while he was doing that job, and from that job, it went on to another job. You know, he worked with these people, and they liked him, and then they brought him in on another job, and it just, you know, obviously you know his story. He's on Game of Thrones. And so that sort of inspired me, and I was having this conversation with Beck, and I was like, can't do it, can't quit the job. That'd be stupid to quit the job. And then I think I got up the next morning, and I was like, I went to work, I did the shift, and I sort of made the decision when I was there, and I came home and I said, I am going to quit my job. And she was like, awesome. And I did. I went in. I wanted to do that thing where you go in and you say, you, this is the worst, but I didn't. I went in totally respectfully. I said, hey, look, I have another opportunity. I'm going to pursue it, and I need to leave. And the awful manager, who was terrible to me, mean to me, overworked me, treated me like garbage, said, well, I'm sad to see you go. Good luck. And I signed my resignation, and I left. And that was the last time I ever had to work a job that I didn't want to work. Hopefully, will continue to be the last time I ever work a job that I didn't want to work, because I love what I do. I love making content for you guys. And I'm sure a lot of, you know, the regulars in the community would agree. I don't think I'm suited for anything else. This is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I was put on this planet to do, is to entertain. And I'm going to keep doing it. I love you guys. Thank you so much for getting me to 20,000 subscribers on Send Noobs. Thank you so much for getting me to 30,000 subscribers, almost, on The Real Gmat. Thanks for following my stream. Thanks for making it possible for me to, like, let's think about this realistically. I have like 50,000 subscribers-ish. A lot of them are probably the same people. So let's round it down to like 40,000 subscribers. And I can work full-time as a creator. I work hard. I work long hours. I'm doing a podcast, 3 videos a week, 4 or 5 streams a week, just extra content going up. There's stuff going up on Gmat, social media, The Real Gmat on Instagram, and The Real Gmat on Facebook. The podcast, I do so much stuff to try and put out as much as I can to garner as much interest and as many people seeing my stuff and coming to me in different ways. There are people who just listen to the podcast who've never seen a Gmat video. There's people who've seen Gmat videos but have never seen a Send Noobs video. There's people who watch my streams who've never watched a video of mine, and there's people who watch Send Noobs who don't even know what my name is. You know, I would say the best way that if you want to support me and you want to see me succeed and you want me to keep pushing this thing further and further and further, engage with me, you know? Check out my other stuff. Subscribe to my other stuff. Like, comment, do all of that. The reason I can do what I do at my size, which, let's be real, is small, is because of community support. All right. I'm going to get out of here because it's got to be like, when did I start? Oh, my God. I started just before 2:30 and it's now 4 o'clock in the morning. So many questions. All right. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Take care of yourselves. Bye.